Okay, in this video, we're going to talk about research questions or hypotheses and the theoretical framework or conceptual model. Now, sometimes, depending on the article that you pull down, these two items will not be identified. And if so, you just have to put NA behind them. Sometimes you'll actually have questions because two theoretical frameworks or conceptual models will be shown. And that's actually the case in the article that we have here. I'm going to actually pull off these other tabs. Okay, so when you're looking for research questions or hypotheses, that will really be obvious in an article, and that will generally occur in the first section before the method section happens. So, I mean, if you're looking through here, just looking for questions, you'll see you can scan and you don't see any. So I am, as you go down here, it just doesn't have any. So you're going to have to put NA. There really are no stated research questions. Now, I can guarantee you that the researchers had questions going into this study, but they put them in the narrative more in terms of a purpose statement. And it really wasn't, as you saw in the video before, wasn't an explicit purpose statement. They weaved it in the narrative. They didn't actually explicitly give us the research question. So it's okay to put NA if that happens. For theoretical framework, what this refers to is kind of the lens through which the theory that is kind of undergirding the study, that is explaining why the items that the researchers are looking at have anything to do with each other, or explains the construct itself. So there's a couple of things in here that you might be able to look at. If you see the word theory, that gives you a little clue that that's probably something you need to pay attention to. In this case, it says the theory of overlapping spheres of influence of families and schools on students' learning and development and on family and school effectiveness is supported by a growing number of studies. So you could actually say, hey, there's a theory that's identified that kind of explains that there are overlapping spheres of influence of families and schools. So families and schools have overlapping influence on student learning and development and on family and school effectiveness. So the more they overlap, the more the family and the school is effective in helping students learn and develop. That's the theory of overlapping spheres of influence. Generally, theories do that. They explain kind of a way in which there's a cause and an effect. In this case, the cause is the overlapping influence between family and school. So to the extent that they are working together for student benefit, the effect is students have greater benefit and the families and schools become more effective in supporting that learning. The other thing that you'll find, though, in this particular article is that she talks about, the main author is Epstein. She talks about 5 types of involvement, and she adds a 6th, actually. So you see these 6 items that she comes through here, and she talks about this in terms of being a typology. Now, a typology is a kind of conceptual model. So she has like 6 types of parent involvement that, and if you read other literature on parent involvement, you'll often actually see that the theory of parent involvement by Epstein that includes these 6 types. So I would say that they kind of build on each other. The overlapping spheres of influence theory is kind of the more basic theory, and then these different types of involvement describe types of influence or types of overlap, if you will. So if you read it, again, this is all the kind of stuff that you'll see before the method section, and you don't really have to read super carefully sometimes in order to get it. If it's really hidden in there, then yes, you'll have to do a little more careful of a read to get to that information. But for theoretical framework, in this particular case, I would say the overlapping spheres of influence theory would be totally fine, or the 6 types of parent involvement typology, or you could just say the parent involvement typology by Epstein. Those would either one work as a theoretical framework, but that's the kind of thing that you're looking for in articles to see. I will say there are many articles that will not identify a theoretical framework. It's less common to not have research questions, but this is real life. So in real life, real articles will and will not have some of these pieces identified clearly. If they don't identify it clearly, you just kind of do your best. Every article should have either a purpose statement or just a statement that says this study does X, Y, and Z. That's your purpose statement. But you're going to have to work with the information you have, and if you have to put NA somewhere, that is really okay. So I want to give you permission for that. Doesn't mean you don't look for it though, and really try to find these things within the empirical articles that you pull down. All right, thanks very much.